similar price point. Right, you got Danny Ings. Now, I feel like I haven't seen him in many drafts, but interestingly, the 2 draft videos in a row we've done on the Scout channel both have Danny Ings. Have you got any consideration for someone else for that spot, like a Jimenez at the same price, or do you just think Ings is going to repeat last season?
I mean, that Ink spot, actually, the only player I'm really debating switching him to is Harry Kane. So before we get into Kane, I just want to go into the merits of why I've picked Ings. Now, you're sure you've heard of talisman theory by who got the assist. So 13.5% of all of Saints' points were scored by Ings, which is the highest of any player across the league. So what I do at the beginning of every season is that for every team, I prepare a list of players who I feel are the most likely to be involved in their attack. Because I don't believe in coverage. Certain players like your Vardis, Kane in his peak, like back in the day, we tried to cover Kane with somebody like Ericsson and Dele Alli. It doesn't really work. You can't cover these players. So a lot of times what I try to do is I try to pick the talisman from the team if I can. And if I can't, then I try to avoid that team totally. Like a lot of times we try to cover Vardy with Madison. It worked to a certain extent with Barnes, but it doesn't really like work. So I try to put as many talisman players I can in my team rather than just bit part players. And Ings fits the bill.
So you've got any concerns about him dropping off from last year, or when you pick your team, is it just a case of he was in form last year? There's no real question to doubt, no real reason to doubt that until you see him drop form, because he's basically been in form for a whole season. So do you have any worries about that?
I mean, it's a bit unique because you look at the gap between the close of last season and the start of the season. It's not really very long. I think it's 4 weeks, 5 weeks, something like that. It's much shorter than usual. So I see no reason for, because I've always rated Ings as a finisher. Even at Burnley, even at Liverpool, when he's been on the pitch, he's put goals in. So I'm not really that apprehensive about Ings, and I can easily downgrade him to somebody like Adams if I feel that Adams kicks off like on a good note.
Yeah, I
Pretty
think
confident about Ings there.
Yeah, no, it's fair point. I think Adams stats wise is very similar to Ings. He's not too far off really, especially since lockdown. Like since game week 30 to 38 at the end of last season, the only problem there is obviously starts. Whereas Danny Ings is going to start week in, week out. You mentioned Harry Kane as a potential option for that spot. Let's say you want him game week 1 alongside Werner. How would you fund that? Like, which player would you think would be the one you downgrade?
Ziyech probably to somebody like a Pereira.
Yeah,
that would give me that plus 2 million that would be needed.
And is he so? Because a lot of people don't necessarily go for promoted team players straight away, but is he someone you think could do well starting off in the league?
I think so, because along with Mitrovic, I think he's one of the few players who was involved very heavily in all the goals for West Brom. I think he had something like the 8th highest shots. Neil did an article, or I remember saying he had the 8th highest shots, highest big chances created. He takes all the set pieces. So again, it fits along with my talisman theory. If they score, he's very likely to be involved. And what's the thing is, there's a lot of perception about these teams when they were previously that when I first see West Brom, I think Tony Pulis, I think Higazi, I think Macaulay, Evans. It's not the same team anymore under Bilic. They're quite an attacking team. I think they scored the most goals. I think the second highest number of goals at home, or the most goals, something like that. So there's him, and there's also another player like at 6.0, James Ward-Prowse. So probably between the two of those guys for that 6 million spot.